Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's Mike Lepre. It's the King Michael. This is Legit Paranormal, brought to you by Legit Fantasy Sports. I'm excited about tonight. I enjoy the paranormal time. I think basically because I'm not losing money on it. You know what I mean? Like all the other shows, I'm probably losing money on them. But with paranormal, I'm not losing a dime right now. Genius Kev, you understand what I'm talking about? Like, there's nothing to lose money wise.
Yeah, if we could figure out a way to bet paranormal, we probably would, if we could.
I would.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think we bet paranormal. That's a whole new level. So, Kev, how the show's been? Because I did my first show back this morning, but the football show with you guys, and on YouTube they have all the analytics. The handsome factor went up 78%. Speaking of handsome, though, Buddy, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing fantastic this evening, guys. Thank you. It's Sunday. It's a good Sunday. It's beautiful outside. I had beautiful beer this evening, and we have a beautiful guest.
A beautiful guest, huh? Kev, speaking of beautiful, let's bring in Matt Warner. Matt, how are you tonight?
Apparently, I'm beautiful, so all is good. All is good.
It's a good starting point. Beautiful.
Yes.
How's it going, Matt? Good to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you guys, buddy. You and I, we know each other.
Yeah, we've met
yet, but here we are.
Buddy, go ahead.
Yes. So Matt Warner joins us from the Bridgewater Triangle area of Massachusetts, a renowned haunted area. Matt is a paranormal investigator, founder of Warner Paranormal Explorations, and he goes to some of the most haunted spots around America. He also has empathic ability or mediumship ability, and he uses that in his skeptical investigation of the paranormal. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
All right. Kev, out of the gate, I got to ask the question of why. Just why? Why, Matt? Like, why do you do what you do? Why is it you do what you do?
I do what I do because as I was growing up, I was into horror movies from a young age. I always liked the idea and the feeling of being scared. And my grandparents lived next door. They had a haunted house. I never had any experiences, but I grew up with the stories of the haunted house. And as I got a little bit older, the shows started coming around, the unsolved mysteries, the sightings, and then, of course, ghost hunters and all the other followers. And I realized that it was more to it than just Hollywood movies, and that these things were happening to people, and that I might not be the only weirdo out there. And as I got older, because at the time we didn't have the internet when I was growing up, so we would get books, those things that people don't use anymore, and I'd go and get all the research I could, check out local places alone. And I didn't have any friends that were into it when I was growing up, so it was very low key, just me and a couple friends that I'd drag along because I was driving. And I had one pretty life affirming experience that said, all right, I know there's things out there and I'm now going to pursue it, and been doing it ever since.
So when did the possibility, because what I'm realizing is that it seems like once the spark of a actual possibility happens in your brain, everything changes from there on out. Like once you put even once you say something, it becomes something. It now exists.
Mm-hmm.
When was that moment of, all right, this is something that's actually real. I'm now in this area. I'm going to go further. Like what age? Where was that around?
So I'll tell you the story. I was 19 when my big story happened. Erin, my girlfriend, hello. She's watching. She's probably going to tune out next. She's heard the story 100 times, but listening to love it. So there is a road about 20 minutes from where I grew up, and it was in one of these books, little paragraph about the road, and it was kind of similar to Bridgewater Triangle lore. If anything could happen there, it all could happen there. Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, giant Indian totems, everything. So I would drive up and down this road all the time with my friends. As a bored teenager, you got nothing better to do. So we must have gone up and down this road 100 times with no issues. Nothing ever happened. Now, to describe the road, it was about 2 miles long. The first half of this road was all really nice, affluent homes. And then the second half was a little cut through, like narrow lane and a half wide road that would cut through to another main road. And it's all through reservation land and conservation land that they can't develop on. So we would just go down the road, we'd turn around instead of cutting through and come back. So we get the double take. My friend and I went down there. It was in January. It was really warm out for January. There's no precipitation on the ground or anything like that. And my friend who I happened to be with at the time, he was a very scared, like chicken shit type of person. And I thrived off that. I love messing with people. So we were driving down there, and I said to him, I think we're gonna stop in the middle of the road tonight. And he's like, dude, don't do that. And I was like, yeah, no problem, buddy. I won't do that to you, I swear. So we drive down the road, got the windows down, and you just kind of feel the atmosphere, so to speak. And get down to the end of the road, turn around, we're coming back. And about halfway through the dirt road part, I put my foot on the brakes, I'm slowing down, and he looks over at me, he's like, dude, don't do this. So I was like, it's gonna be fine. I bring my truck to a stop. I got my foot on the brake. No sooner do I turn the lights off, directly on the hood, I see two hands, white gown up to here. I never saw the head because I freaked out. I flipped the lights on as fast as I could. I floor it. The truck won't move. It's as if it's being held by whatever this thing is, and it's just not moving. And he's screaming at me. I can't do anything. And then what seems like an eternity, the truck is released, but it doesn't move forward. It goes sideways at a very harsh angle that made no sense because all the wheels are pointing forward. So now I'm fighting the speed that I've built up from the truck not moving and this direction. I'm jerking the wheel back and forth. He's screaming, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. And I was like, I'm not controlling this. I finally got control of the wheel just before I hit this massive tree off to the side of the road. And I went through that neighborhood at about 60 to 65 miles an hour until I got to the main road. And I went so far down that main road until there was people and cars and things everywhere. And then I pulled over, and we're white as a ghost. And I looked at him. I said, what'd you see? And he goes, I saw a woman in a white gown standing and holding your truck. I said, that's exactly what I saw. And he has never been back down that road since. He doesn't talk about that experience. I went back down, but it probably was about 5 years before I went back down there, because that proved some shit to me. That proved like, okay, there's definitely something out there. And that was enough for me to say, all right, I want to do this more. I want to find more, and I want to chase this and encounter more of this stuff. So that was my story. That's what got me into it, and that was my aha light bulb moment.
Did you ever investigate the area, the claim? What happened to you?
It was nothing I could ever find about it. No, like
EVP session in the area, anything like that.
That was before I even really knew what the hell EVPs were.
Mm-hmm.
So it was me, just old school. Remember the disposable Kodak cameras?
Yep.
That's what I used to use. And you wait 3 weeks to get it back from CVS, and there's nothing on it.
Right.
That was what I had. So I do want to. I've been thinking about this for a couple of years, going back down there and doing a proper investigation. I just hasn't come to fruition yet.
Yeah. And the thing is, Kev, like, what are the other odds that it's this woman who's strong enough to hold his truck, and then his truck happens to go? It just goes in a different way than forward. So right there, those two are unexplainable to me and absolutely terrifying. Did you want to fight the ghost at any point? I know that sounds dumb, but I keep bringing that up because some people say they want to fight the ghost. I've heard that now, and now I've heard some people not say it.
At that moment in time, I was scared as hell. But
you shit your pants at first. But when the truck's going sideways, did you go, all right, screw this now? I mean, and just out of the truck.
I can get behind that mentality because that's how I am now. Now it's like, dude, bring it on. Like, I want every experience you could throw at me. I've survived this kind of crap, and I never that spirit I've not wanted to fist fight, but there has been others.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. I heard that story from you before, so I'm glad you told it. Because I was going to ask you about it if you hadn't. And it seems like now your attitude is like, maybe not 180, but you're like up for anything, and that kind of scares me a little bit because it sounds like you're opening yourself up for a ton of things. And I know you got some really cool stories about haunted objects and the dolls, and maybe we get to that a little later. But just that sort of attitude, has it gotten you into like trouble with attachments and stuff like that? Because when we heard that term for the first time, Mike and I both were like, wait a minute. They can follow you home. Done. So
that's the best when you take home a hitchhiker. So that's the thing. That used to happen to me all the time, and I had no idea. Like, you guys have probably heard of the paranormal hangover and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I used to just chalk it up to that, and I would just be like an extra level a-hole for days after an investigation. And I remember the first time I had an attachment that I realized I had an attachment came from Rolling Hills Asylum, and I'm in there. I had a bad time. I was like, this place sucks. Like, there's too many people here. I'm not enjoying it. And I left all pissed off, and I was just not myself for days. And my girlfriend at the time was like, what's the matter with you? I was like, what's the matter with you? What are you talking about? And I was like, ooh, that's kind of harsh. And I'm like, I'm not that person. So I had that realization. And then for a couple of years, I kept getting them. I'm a magnet for that crap. And I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but I had that stupid Bagans mentality where it's like, take my body, all that crap that you need to have some sort of grounding to. And now I do both. I tiptoe the line, but now I know my limits and I do protect myself with crystals and beliefs and all that other crap that before I didn't believe in. So I was like, whatever, none of this is real. I've had enough attachment experiences now. I'm much more careful. And for the past year and a half, I haven't had to deal with any. The last attachment I had, I left at Detroit 6th Precinct. I had someone help me remove it, and he said, I saw it go into the precinct. And I get to go back to the precinct in July. We'll see if I pick him back up.
Kev, not once, not ever, never would I put myself in a position for something to attach itself to me. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. And look, I know that you like scary stuff. That would be like my older brother. Brother Ray was more like that. He's the one who got that. What's that magazine called? Because I'm a child of this. I'm 40. I'm old. So I used to get that Fangora. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Ray would get Fangora, and we would look through Fangora every month. He'd get it in the mail. Back when you used to get albums. So we would look at Fangora, and he would love watching all the movie horror stuff, and he collected all the what were those Hollywood monsters? They had a collection of this.
Universal.
Yeah. So he had all that crap. Godzilla. I was not ever no thank you. I was terrified of that crap. I saw the Elephant Man, and I actually couldn't sleep for a week. A week. I'm not even joking. I had to sleep in the couch. I have my Italian cross that I got for my communion with me. I have all this shit just so I could go to sleep because I was so scared of that stuff. I don't like scary stuff. So right there, it's like, and then you're like, oh, he might jump back up on me, whatever it is. Never. If we ever take a picture, man, I gotta be honest, Kev has to be between us. Jumping off. Arm's length, man, because I can't.
Mary's after you'll be fine.
Yeah. So Matt, your girlfriend made a comment here. She said you provoke and allow it. How do you, I don't think you're gonna be able to deny that from the other stories that I've heard.
So I will clarify. She's very she is scared of me even ghost hunting whatsoever. So when I provoke, it's not all the time. And the only time I do provoke is when I'm at a place where scumbag people were, prisons and things like that. I would never go into a nursing home and be like, where are you, crippled old piece of garbage? Come out and play. Like,
come on, you dead babies.
Go to a maternity. Where are you, stupid infants? Yeah. No,
bring it on, babies.
I've had some great experiences doing that in prison settings. Those types of places are the only place I allow it because they don't deserve respect. They didn't respect people when they were living, so they don't deserve respect in the afterlife. To a degree. Obviously, I'm not awful, but it works. It stirs it up. So there's a line. I am respectful of the majority of the deceased.
All right.
So it sounds like you adhere to what Buddy calls the a-hole ghost theory. If you're an a-hole in life, you're probably an a-hole ghost.
Right. 100%. Yep. And I think that those are the things that people are calling demons.
All right. Here's the other question. So this has been brought up a couple times. Where is the place again, Kev, that has the infant ward on the bottom level?
Oh, Penhurst.
It's Penhurst. That's been brought up a couple times on this show. And what's always brought up is downstairs, I guess it was called Candyland, whatever, where the kids were. They still see the kids' spirits to this day and hear them. But they don't try to rid the place of them so they can move on. And I have an issue with not letting little kids move on and then using them to just keep making money by having people come to Penhurst.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a scumbag jail guy, by all means, make as much money as you want. Charge double. But I'm having a hard time with the people on different sides of it. They're like, oh yeah, but the spirits are, and it's like, but if they're really kids and they're really spirits and you can move them on, why would you not? Where do you stand on that one?
One of the questions that I always ask, and I've actually been working with a few different psychics, because over the past couple of years I've been told I have psychic abilities, and I didn't believe it. I've always had weird intuitions and things. I've always been empathic, and I've understood that. So I'm working with different psychics to learn different things. And I did ask one of them a question. I said, one of the things I do a lot when we're doing an investigation is ask if the spirit needs help, if the spirit wants to be passed over. And then I asked her, I said, how the hell do I do that if they say yes? Because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a guy, in the dark. But I ask that all the time because if I agree with you 100%. If they don't want to be there, this isn't a zoo. It's not, they shouldn't be locked there or held there against their will. So I think a lot of times the energy itself that's there might not be the full imprint of the person, but it just might be a good portion of them that is going to stay there due to all the experiences that person had. So it might not be their whole spirit that's actually there. It might just be a fragment of them.
I get that. I just, the idea that they're stuck there was just, and people were so like, they just talked about it as if. I was like, what do you mean as if? Like, what I mean? Help them out.
It's very exploitative in that manner.
Kev?
No, I completely agree. We've had this debate a couple times, and I like the way kind of Matt answered that one. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
All right, so
we had on a guest a couple months ago, Ken DaCosta. He's from Rhode Island, and he talked about people who make their money on TV shows. And you got to remember that you're making your money on the backs of dead spirits. I just thought you said something similar to that. Just remember who you're there. You're making money off of this, but remember you're making money off of dead people who are like maybe trapped there. So it's it is like, as a person who did like fundraising and did. Not really exploit it. We didn't exploit anybody, but I mean, we opened the place up to the public and to groups to raise money for this organization because they were haunted. Were we? I don't know. Was it exploiting the dead? I don't know.
No, because you were preserving history by doing that. Yeah. It just happened to be a part of it. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I think that's different. I think that's different, though.
I still maintain it's going to be it'll be the plot of a very good horror movie where you got some people that have a site that are exploiting spirits, and then the whole thing just explodes at some point. I think that's I think Mike, you got to write the script for that one.
All right,
all right. Even better. Another place that we do is a place, the Barnum Armory. We'll be a guest on next week. I've had voices of children there, and I know there are children there, which is kind of weird, but considering
what about the voice we got on live on the show? We're doing a show, Matt, and
right, from Barnum.
They're doing that. They got that thing going. That channels, right? It's basically a guitar amp, and they hooked it up, and it just.
Spirit box.
And he's asking questions, and at the very end of the goddamn show, we went the whole show, and it's like maybe 3 minutes to the end, and he says something like, "You like what he's done with the place?" And you literally hear, "Shh, absolutely," and it was just like come on. Because now, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can understand my standpoint. I got to now explain to my friends that we caught a voice. Like, I gotta be honest. And then like they think I'm full of shit. You know what I mean? I can't get a word in. I'm like, no, we kind of caught a voice like live on air. It just happened.
It was more than one. It was like 2 or 3 different statements followed up, specifically about one person who was in the building for 34 years. So. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Didn't know how to explain it. All right. So you like to get scared.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your top 3 almost crap the pants type scared moments. Like just quick moments of like, oh, God.
Well, some of them were miscommunications and weren't spirit related. It's like you scare yourself.
Yeah.
Last year, the Detroit 6th Precinct, I had a really scary encounter. I was in the cell block. There's 5 cells on each side, and then there's a drunk tank at the end. And I had a friend that was watching a live static cam from his house. They had it set up there, and he said, "Oh, there's activity in the cell block. You should go in there." I said, "All right." I know I'm on camera, so I'm not going to totally puss out. I was like, "All right, there are eyes on me. Like, I'm not really alone, so I don't have to like." So I'm in the cell block, and I'm standing there, and I hear footsteps down the drunk tank. So I go down there. There's nothing there. I come back, and I said, "All right, I know you're in here," and I'm doing dowsing rods. And I'm seeing in the back of the cell the silhouette of a person walk forward and then disappear back into it. So I'm like, I know you're here, you creepy bastard. Like, I know you're in here. I had already stirred this place up earlier. And so I said, if you don't want me here, you're going to really have to make it you don't want me here. And I look to my right down towards the drunk tank, and this black shadow is in the doorway. And that thing comes rushing down the hall, and its energy hit me. And I held my composure very well because, again, I know that camera's on me, and I booted right out of there. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I won't come back. I'm good. And I got outside and I caught my breath and I was like, all right, well, that place is terrifying.
Wait, so what was the feeling though? How did it feel? What was the feeling?
It was like a cold rush of air and electricity, like static and air coming right at me and then enveloped me and went past me.
All right. So that must be terrifying, right?
It is. That's one of the ones that sticks with me. That was like one of my top favorite experiences of last year's travels.
Did it make you feel like you couldn't beat it? Did it take all chance of winning out of your body? Is that the feeling? That's what I worry about.
In a way, yeah. At that point in time, I realized that was his location and I was going to leave for now. That was like, all right, you win tonight. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to recreate that and get that experience again in July. So,
Matt, it's never wrong to run. Like as many places you want to get into, like in life, it's never wrong to run. I had to see what's that guy's name? Bad to the Bone, George Thorogood. Mm-hmm. I get dragged to one of his shows in Atlantic City. Worst thing I ever did, ever. Because I told a story of an older guy who was holding a girl and had his hand in her pants front pockets, and she had her hands around another younger guy in his pants pockets. I threw up in my throat. I just wanted to start heaving. And then I was standing there with one of my friends, and there was this little guy that was friends with another guy who leaned up and like poked these two bikers and then disappeared. And they turned around and looked at us. And dude, I was like, kid behind me did it. I'll go grab him. I'll pull him up there. Whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I knew my role. I knew where, like the pecking order. I knew where I stood. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, fair enough. That's
what that feeling was like. It was like I almost crapped my pants like that when they turned around the mountains of guys. But so you're kind of more from our era, the '90s. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I just turned 40.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See, still a youngin' in a bit, Kev. He's in the ballpark. A couple of years, 2, 3, 6, maybe 5.
Mentally, I'm still in high school, so we're good.
That is good. All right. All right, but no, Kev, you go because I know you had a question about one of the locations.
Yeah, so and I guess we'll kind of figure out which order you want to do it in. But I saw on your Facebook page you had spent some time at the Salem recently, and we had Don Tricifaro on the past week or so ago, and he great guest, great stories, everything. And I know you also did the Wilson Castle investigation. The documentary was awesome. The Good Will Haunting. I would say anyone that hasn't seen it, watch it. That was great. And I had a lot of questions on the techniques and everything. So maybe we get to Salem first and kind of what you thought of it. Because Don was raving about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Salem, I was actually just on the Salem Friday night. So it's very fresh. I've been there a few times. Each time I go, I get to experience more of the ship. This time was a very low key, just a few parrot people investigation. So there wasn't the general public that we had to cater to. So it was really just for us. There's an area on the ship that, on the wall it says Geedunk. I don't know any naval terms. It's some sort of like quarters for the higher up ranking officials where they would eat and what have you. And I was with Eva, and she's one of Don's teammates from the Greater Boston Paranormal Association. And we were in that room. We shut the door, quieted down so no one would know where we were, so we could actually, like, we set up a minefield of equipment. We got a laser grid, static dome, REM pods, everything you could think of in this room. And the last time I was on the ship, where I had some experiences in that room, I was seeing shadow movement. And we were in there for a while on Friday, and we had the same shadow movement. And it's reported by a lot of people in this one corner. So while we're sitting there, we're kind of seeing the shadow move. And then I'm sitting facing the table. I look off to my right, and I'm just kind of watching the shadows. And out of the corner, against the back wall, an apparition comes out. And I can only describe it. I only saw the head and like the hat, and it looked like Barney Fife from Andy Griffith's show. The same style, like deputy cap that he's wearing. So I don't know if that's a captain's hat or what the hell it was. But the head was like very pale, whitish, and it just walked by. It didn't look at me. It was just kind of looking down, and I looked, and I was like, what in the Christ is going on? And she didn't see it. And I'm like, okay, well, I just had an apparition that I've never seen before. And that was awesome. And actually, Chris Sanders, when we met up with him later on that night, he said, before he even knew what had happened, he said he saw a very similar apparition earlier on the ship. So there is that experience. One time when I was on the ship, we were in the museum room. One of the pieces of equipment was going off, and there's a doorway into the next part of the museum, and I saw a shadow kind of poke its head out and come back in, like curiosity, went running. Of course, there's nothing in it. What else happened? I know there was one other thing that happened to me on that ship.
Did you have an encounter with the dog? Apparently there's a dog on the ship also.
I've not encountered the dog on the ship yet. No, I haven't had that one. The only time I've ever encountered a dog was when I went to Waverly this past year. I don't really interact with the animals as much, but yep. I didn't.
Why are the dogs still here?
What's
that?
How
do the dogs get stuck here? How come dogs just don't go straight to heaven? Like, why do they get stuck here? I mean, serious. I love my dog so much. I can't even think about them being stuck anywhere. Like, what
the dog lived its whole life on the ship. It's going to stay with the ship. Doesn't know any better.
Yeah, that's Kev. He's got me there.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I say to that? I guess so. I guess I'm thinking of my dogs. All right. So, a couple things there. So, Mr. Furley comes out of the wall with a hat on, and you're just cool with it, and it just goes by you. And now, I would think that seeing a ghost by myself would be harder on me than if I saw it, obviously, with somebody else. Because with me, I would be like, Mike, did you really see a ghost? Or are you thinking that you're seeing ghosts? Because there's an opportunity that actually exists as well. Like, as true as what this is, as true as people that I saw a ghost. No, you didn't. And then you take a pill, and next thing you know, you're in a bathrobe, and they walk into a stand, and I stand in a corner like this. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. That's where I could be. I don't know. What I'm saying is this. Like, is it tougher when you see them on your own? Are you less likely to report them, or how are you with that?
It is a little bit harder to swallow when you're alone because it's more startling, because you don't have that person there that you can pretend you're tough around. Because if it's just you got nothing. You got absolutely nothing. But it's still the same reaction. You still have that holy shit, am I seeing this reaction? No matter if you're with 10 people or no people. But
you don't jump. You don't like, holy Jesus, like I jump. I'm out.
I'll tell you, I jumped. I almost jumped out of my shoes last night. I was at the Saratoga County Homestead, which is an abandoned tuberculosis sanitarium in New York. And we were doing an investigation. That place is so dark at night, like absence of light, dark, like the darkest dark. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go up on the staircase and take a picture. I'd already been scared by this thing twice. There's caution tape wrapped around one of the banisters, and when the wind blows, it makes that crinkly sound. But I forgot about it. I'm standing there getting ready to take a picture, and it's like 3 feet from my face, and the wind blows, and it whips right at me. And I jumped up out of the pile of dirt, and everyone's laughing at me. I was like, dude, that scared the shit out of me. Those are the ones that scare me, the things that aren't actually paranormal.
Yeah, that's funny. I have to imagine a TB sanitarium has got to be a pretty active place, because all you got is people at the end of the line, death, probably a lot of regret, probably a lot of just all the things that you would think would make something want to hang around. Was it an active night, or?
It was active. Yeah, we were only there for a few hours. We were up there all day doing some cleanup. The first time I went up there, I was walking through the basement by myself during the day, and at the end of the hall, same thing. Shadow looked out from behind the door, and I was on Facebook Live. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I run down there, there's nothing there. That was broad daylight. But last night we were having all kinds of. We got some EVPs. My friend Steve's got a DR60 that he uses, which is the gold standard for the EVPs, and we're getting direct responses. We were hearing noises. We were hearing voices, footsteps above. It was way more active than I expected, because the building's just been sitting there for 40 years, empty and abandoned. There's nothing left of it. It's just a shell, but it was much more active than I expected it to be.
Cool. Matt, what have you learned from these spirits, these people? Is it regret? Is that like one of the biggest words that I keep hearing? Like, is it really like kind of a sign to everybody, not to be corny, but to try to take away as much regret as possible? Like, because I feel like people are stuck with that. That's like a thing they're really stuck with when they die.
I think in a blanket way to put it, I think that they're just continually living because they don't realize they've died. I think it's just we're just all in different realms, and we're just seeing right through the thin veil, Swiss cheese holes of the veil when we see these ghosts, and they're living in their own realm. We're in our own realm, and we're just kind of crossing over. I do think that obviously certain tragedies may hold a spirit there, and that spirit may be much more active and aggressive. But I think the majority of the ones that we encounter are just going through the motions and don't realize that they're deceased.
So do you believe in the Mandela effect? I do. I'm big on that.
I can see some beliefs in it. Yeah.
I feel like around 1995, if I'm gonna pick a year, I feel like that we jumped. I feel like so I always studied NASA studies time, and it's linear. And the one day they actually got a bit of a blip, which meant that it stopped and it kind of went up a little, bubble came down. And just the fact that it went up a little shows that there could be timelines running through that blip part.
Mm-hmm.
So several different timelines. So I don't know. I always felt like a lot of these things are just the light, like you said, the lightly crossing over of timelines that are all going at the same time, or like, I guess dimensions. Because right, it seems like that. It seems like you can cross over to different. I'm here now, and then I open myself up, and holy shit, I'm in this. This isn't the same. Is that possible?
I think so. I think anything's possible.
Kev?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you asked this because you asked a number of guests. It sounds like most people think it's at least in the realm of possibility. I mean, I agree. I don't know if I believe the Mandela effect though, because if it's really true, how are we all talking about it and remembering these things? You know, like how would I know that it wasn't the Berenstein Bears? It wasn't always the Bernstein Bears. It was the Berenstein Bears. If I know that, then how could there? You know what I mean?
Shazam.
Yeah.
No, there was something that wasn't the one. There was a couple that freaked me out and had nothing to do really with those. But I don't know. I feel like things did change a little bit.
Honestly, the interdimensional thing. I had a conversation with a friend last night. It almost seems like that. Maybe that's why like EVPs. I don't know if you get this, Matt. But like EVPs, sometimes it sounds like a guy screaming in a vacuum, or like a distant voice. Or like sometimes it's like right there, or it's a whisper, or it's like, is it them like talking in their dimension and this is how it's coming through in ours, or is this how we're hearing it in the perspective that we're in? What do you think about that?
I think that's very, very possible. It could be just us picking up on a random conversation. It's like when you're walking down the street and you hear somebody talking, you look and it's people across the street having a conversation. Mm-hmm. Same exact thing.
Look, the greatest thing would be to die and to walk right into like another dimension where you're you but younger and you get a chance to do it again. That would be fantastic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm serious. That'd be great. Like a younger you. You know what I mean? A little bit younger. You get to pick. I would pick like, I don't know, 10, 12, 10. Like, let me stop back then when there was like no cable. When I HBO or
attractions. Or what was the one that was scrambled that you could try to watch?
Yeah, I would try to watch the Cinemax skin porn at night, but it was all like
you down real quick to try and get that picture to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a second if you did it fast enough.
Yeah, see, maybe that was all coming from another dimension. I mean, if we had you were tuned the right way. Yeah. So Mike, I got to ask you about something that is absolutely terrifies me. And I don't know how you live with this, but the doll.
Yeah.
I have the name written down, and I know it's a French name. Can you please tell that story?
Her name is Ameline.
Yeah, Ameline. Yeah.
And that name came to us through an Ovilus session where we were running a bunch of other equipment. So the story of Ameline, I actually just brought her up to New York with me over the weekend because my buddy Steve hates her and he's scared of her, so I had to.
And I'm sorry, I have to say this. I know your girlfriend's watching. The fact that you travel around with her has to be dangerous in some way. But anyway, go on.
With an evil doll?
You wait until you hear this whole story, Kay. You're gonna lose your mind.
You with them is what we're saying.
Yeah.
You keep an evil doll.
My living room's got dozens of haunted items in it.
Maybe tell the story, then get her, because it's terrifying.
All right, so Ameline came to me from a friend. He messaged me one day a couple years ago, and he said, I know you're into this stuff. Somebody left this doll in the back of my truck, and I don't know who it is. I don't know how long it's been there because I just noticed it. I said, all right, yeah, I'll come and get it if you want. I'm not expecting much of it. And he said, well, let me talk to my wife, and I'll see what she wants to do. And I said, okay. So I didn't hear back from him. About a month later, he calls me up on a Saturday. He said, if you still want that doll, you got to pick her up today or I have to burn it. And I said, what's going on? And he said, my mother-in-law passed away. My best friend committed suicide. The whole family's fighting. been having a real bad, run of bad luck. And I was like, all right, I'll come and get it. And he had never taken it out of his truck. He left it right where it was in the back seat of his pickup. I went and met up with him. I went and picked her up, and I was like, oh, okay, this thing's different. Staged his whole truck for him to make him feel better and all that. And I brought her home. Like I do when I bring any new, I don't call them haunted. I call them enchanted because I feel like haunted scares people, and they're not all bad. They've got an energy to them, and it's an enchanted thing. Like, we're all happy here for the most part. So whenever I bring something new home, I just leave it be. I don't sage it. I don't cleanse it. I don't put black salt around it, put it in a weird cage and pretend it's Annabelle. I don't do any of that crap. So I had her in the house for about 4 days, and during that period of time, I wasn't myself. I was extra edgy, more angry than usual, just not feeling well, not feeling myself. So I said, all right, you know what? I gotta do the Facebook Live reveal with this thing and move on. And so we were doing a Facebook session, showing her off. I had a few different psychics from around the country that were watching and interacting with me, telling me stories about it, running the obelisk, asking questions. And the word Amaline came up when I asked what name it was. And it's a word I'd never heard before. It's a French word for hard worker. So I said, oh, okay. Now, you'll see the doll. She has an actual noose around her neck. And it's legit. It's not something like a child made. It's a working noose. So I was asking about this, and the few different people were saying that's acting as a binding spell. That is keeping that spirit to that vessel. Do not take it off. All right. Of course, I'm like, I want to take it off, but I didn't. I left it on. It's still on. And a couple other words that came through the obelisk were water and New Orleans. So we get a French word, water, in New Orleans. So I start thinking voodoo. And I've since talked to other people that do believe it's a voodoo hex curse on this doll that's bound it to this doll. I asked my friend about it, and down the street from where he lives, there is like a trap house where they sell drugs out of, or used to be. And he believes that they witnessed him and his wife seeing what they were doing, and they put it there as a warning. Don't mess around with us or you're going to have some bad luck. And everything's been fine for him since he took the doll. When we were doing the session here with the doll, the energy in the room was really swirling around, and I could feel it. And I had one of the psychics message me like, you all right? Because the energy in your room is messed up. And I said, yeah, I know it is. The broadcast shut off. The computer shut off. Everything, it just died. And I'm like, okay. And I stay with my charger in the computer so it doesn't die. So it's just me sitting here with, this good old doll that I just found. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So fire everything back up, get back on the broadcast, and then everything was calm in here. And the same psychic messaged me. She goes, your room is calm now. I said, yeah. And she goes, well, don't take the noose off. She likes that you gave her attention. Just give her the attention, let her have her space, and you will be fine. So I've done that ever since. And I brought her last year. I've been bringing her to conventions because people like to see her. I let people hold her, whatever. I just say, you're on your own. That's totally fine. So I had her at a convention last year in Maine. The next day I was with my daughter. We were heading home, and we were just eating pizza. And I get a message from a different psychic who I've not met yet in person. And she goes, you have a really dark female energy attached to you right now. It's not an attachment, but it's with you. And I said, really? She said, yeah, she's kind of upset, not happy. And I said, what do you think it is? And I knew exactly what it was. And she said, I'm not sure. Do you have something with you? And I sent her a picture. I said, is it this? She goes, why do you have that you need to get rid of it? I said, I'm not getting rid of her at all. Like, she's my jam. That's my girl. And she's like, I know you're not gonna, but you really should, but you need to be careful and make sure that this, that, and the other. So I respect her. She respects me. Like Erin did have an experience because Erin, the first time she saw her on camera, she said some disparaging things about her. And I had yet another psychic reach out to me. She was trying to help do some Reiki on me. And she said, I have permission. She was like, do I have permission to remote view your place? I was like, yeah, go ahead. She goes, there's a female spirit pacing back and forth in your house, and she won't let me see her. She's angry. She's like, what is that? And I said, oh, it could be this. And she's like, you need to be careful because she's jealous. I had just started dating my girlfriend at the time. Said she needs to make amends with her, and it needs to be good, or it's not going to go well. So they've since, washed their beef, so to speak, and everything is good. But she has powers. He's gone. He's had enough.
No. So the whole story, right? Let me start at the beginning. My issues. First of all, how many of your friends have dolls with nooses on their necks that they just leave in the back of their truck? That's one. Two, One friend calls another friend up and goes, "Hey, Kev, you want this doll I got that's got a noose around its neck?" "Yeah, I've had it ever since, my brother died and this happened and we got shot by lightning twice. You want the doll?" And then you say, "Yeah, I do want the doll." And then you get the doll and you find out that it's got a noose around its neck. It's evil. It's mean to you. I'm not saying anything bad about that doll. That doll's a great doll. I hope it has much success. I hope it enjoys where it's staying. I'm just saying, you know what it's got and what it's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually feel like that you are playing with something that I don't think you know what you're playing with. And that's what I think you like about it. That's what I think the whole crazy thing is that you like walking that line.
Yeah, that's why, King. When we talked before the show, I said we're gonna love this guy because every story is like is bigger than the last. Like it's you get off on this stuff. It's awesome.
At the end of the day, I've encountered one item that a friend. I have people send me stuff all the time. I got almost 40 Ouija boards in my house. I got a bunch of them right next to me that are.
Oh, he's gone again. You said Ouija board. That we don't do that. Yeah, you say that. Like so.
Good to know. Well, they're all right here. So.
Yeah. No, go on though.
But, people send me all that stuff, and I accept it. There was one time a friend of mine reached out to me, and he said, "We have this thing," and it was a bank. It was like an old cast iron bank, like they used to make. You put the penny on, and it would just flip its hand up, and it was a clown, and it was at this museum, and the museum was having a lot of issues with it. So my buddy then took it from the museum to give them some peace. It affected him and his entire team, whatever it was, and they believed it was a demon. And they're like, "We need to get rid of it." And I was like, "Dude, I kind of want it." And he's like, "I can't let you have it. You have a child." And I was like, "Yeah, but I really want this thing." And the more I thought about it, I was like, "All right, it is irresponsible. So I'm not gonna take the bank." And I actually got them in touch, and it's actually in John Zaffis's museum now. He has it.
Oh,
so
wow!
The haunted collector now has it.
Yep.
He has been on some different conventions I've been at. He'll come in when I'm talking about my items, and he'll heckle me and he'll leave. And we have a group. Well, I always ask him. I pick his brain all the time because I really do look up to the guy, and he's done so much for the field, and especially the haunted aspect of collecting. So that's the one item I've passed up on. Everything else I've taken in. So I guess with these items and this, and we were talking about Emily in particular. It sounds like that one possibly might be a curse. So is there a difference between like a haunted item, a haunted / enchanted item versus a cursed item? Is it all I would think when I hear haunted or enchanted, I think something happened and the spirit got into it. When I hear cursed, I think somebody deliberately, like voodoo or something, put something into it. I think there's definitely differences, and that's why I got into saying enchanted, because I didn't want people automatically thinking everything that I own is terrifying. The enchanted stuff, I feel it's like I call it the Toy Story effect. If you play with these toys your whole, your childhood, and then you discard them and put them in a box, your energy is remaining on them. It doesn't make that energy haunted. You're just a kid playing with your dolls. So as a spirit, you pass on. It's like, oh, there's this old doll that I used to play with. Doesn't mean it's scary. With Ameline, having her spirit bound to said vessel, that's different. That is, cursed or however you want to word it. That's different than just being enchanted. She's the only one in this room that has that kind of energy to her. I just got a reel-to-reel player from a funeral home in Salem that's got an attachment to it. I didn't believe the guy. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll take it. It's cool. It looks cool. It's antique. And I was coming in a couple weeks ago to set up for a podcast, and I was standing next to it. And the lid was closed, but the thing slammed as if it was open. Right when I'm standing, I was like, oh, okay, I see you. We're good. We're good. So I talk everything in here as if it's a person. I just give it.
I'm sorry. That's what I was going to ask. So when you and Emily are driving up to driving up to a convention or whatever, wherever you're going, do you talk on the way up? Like, are you talking to her while you're? Oh my goodness.
I don't like when I put her in the car. It's like, all right, we're going to go for a ride. We're going to have fun, and then I just listen to music. Okay. And I take her out. Like I like at my friend Steve's last night. I was like, I'm taking a picture of her in your house. He's like, you're not bringing her in the house. I was like, yes, I am. So and I had to.
So. King, do you want to actually? Well, we probably have to ask her if she's okay with this. So I don't want to make her think she's being exploited. I don't want any bad energy with her. But maybe if she's okay with it, can we show her?
She's an attention whore like me. She loves it.
I don't know, man. Is that a good idea?
No. I've seen a picture. It's something else.
Do I want to see her?
Yes.
You kind of have to.
Yeah, let's start now.
Do I have
And
to?
I gotta wonder, while he's getting her, I gotta wonder about his girlfriend Erin. When she spends the night, is it spending the night over in like a haunted museum?
So it's not even a fun fact. Erin lives in Scotland, and due to the pandemic, we haven't even been able to get together yet.
Okay. Oh.
10 months of awesome online dating.
Yeah. All right.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I've seen it.
I never said I was.
Do it. Oh my god, terrible. Oh.
And now remember, it's a functioning noose.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That's
Oh, that's a terrible doll. But a great doll. Terrible. Oh.
So this doll, the viewers and myself did some research, and she is from late 50s. And in the 50s, they did a line of dolls called Grannykins, and they were made to look like grandmothers. This doll particularly looked like Mrs.
What
Howell.
kind of grandmothers?
Mrs. Howell.
She was beautiful when she was made. She's aged. She's got her wonky eye now.
Ooh.
But they looked like grandmothers, and they actually made a grandfather doll look like Elmer Fudd. It was the weirdest looking thing. I've never seen him anywhere before. I got this, and then we did some research and found them online, but I've never found any in the wild. I want to, but she's very unique.
Yeah.
I don't think she's like an ugly looking doll. She's just unkept.
Oh. And,
You see it one day,
the other thing
you
said,
get it together, you know?
sorry, King, the other thing he said about her is she kind of runs the spiritual part of the house. She keeps everything else in line. If she's gone too long, they act up. She comes back. She lays down the law.
So that's that story I was telling about when I was eating pizza with my daughter. She came out for the weekend. When I came home that night, I hadn't brought her in yet. I was bringing in all my other crap. And when I walked into my kitchen, I heard a male and a female talking in my living room, and then I heard a child laugh. And there's no one else here. And I was like, oh, okay. So they were having a little para party when the matriarch was away because she rules the roost. There's no other. I've done readings on all the stuff I have in here, and it's always her that winds up overtaking things when we do a reading because she wants to be front and center. So I take her with me now so she can be front and center and get all those accolades. And
Crazy dolls.
Yeah.
How does
Go ahead.
So she's like the biggest bully on the block. Like it's like a jail, and she runs the jail, and they start yapping when she's away. But when she comes back, they just shut up and fall in line. Right? That's her deal.
she's like a stern grandmother running the roost.
And you know this is going on in your house, and this is like again, it goes back to the fact that you like to be scared. So, this is fun. Like, I guess that's what I'm asking because you're terrifying me. Like,
Do you want me to put her away?
What?
You want me to put her away now?
Oh.
No, I don't even have a problem with her. I'm more worried about you. It's like I look at you and I'm more worried. I'm like, hey, this guy's gonna push it to the point where, geez, Louise, what's he gonna be hanging around with? The other guy that meets Sasquatch and goes back with them and hangs out.
Well, yeah, I would. Are you kidding me?
I'd fight it. I already said that. I want to go out like that. That's how I want to die. But what I'm saying is, like, you would chat with them. I don't. So what is the end? What is the end game, Matt? Like, where do you see yourself in like 5 years, 10 years? How far are you gonna push it? You think?
I won't stop. I'll keep pushing.
So do you think you won't stop, or do you think that you give at least the opportunity of a chance that you might hit something that stops you, and it says no more, and you're like, okay, I'm out. Like a deer.
I have like full blown demonic possession, exorcist level things happen to me to the point where I'm in a padded cell drooling on myself to stop. Otherwise, I'm not going to stop. I want a couple years ago, I gave up on caring about impressing others with what I'm doing. I'm doing it all for my own personal experiences. And it makes it so much more enjoyable. Now I'm not trying to impress Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'm doing it for myself and having fun, meeting people, going to cool places. This is all just for this run around the rock and enjoying this life doing this stuff. And my next life, I'll see what I do with that one.
I think with age comes wisdom, and I'm not calling you old. What I'm saying is, in my 20s, I didn't know nothing. And in my 30s, I still didn't know anything. And now I'm not saying I know anything now. I'm just saying I can look back and I understand that, like, I don't care about anybody else but what I do. Like what I do, and like Like at the end of the day, when I think back of all the stuff that I did, like that to me is how I'll live on. That's I don't know. I can see like the trail of it. Like because I used to be in like a band, but we were doing really good for a while. But like that seems so long ago and so different. It's so weird. It's like I don't know. It's perspective. You get to the point where you go, you know what? Focus on me. Let me see what I can do. Let me go do me for a while. Let me just make sure that I'm happy. Because like if you're happy with what you're doing, which I can't believe that you are, but you are, like keep doing it, right? Like that's what you got to do. I mean, if you're gonna push it to the limit, I'm all for that kind of person. Kevin knows that. We that's the guy we root for. I would want to see that. I don't want to be you, but I'm rooting for you. You know what I mean? Like it's just how I am. That's the kind of guy that I would bet on. So Kev, maybe we can bet on this. I'm gonna say Matt stays in the paranormal world for another 15 years and then checks out.
Yeah.
Over under 15 years, Kev. You want to take it?
50 years is a long time, but I'll take the over.
All right, I'll go under.
That's fun. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Now,
nice.
Matt, one thing you said through there, and it was about the only thing that'll probably knock you out is like full blown, demonic possession, all that stuff. And we've had Carl Johnson on, we've had James Anito on, so we've had some demonologists on, and we've kind of talked through all this stuff. And do you think anything you've seen so far even approaches that? Because I think it's always sort of misdiagnosed. Everyone thinks like, something flies across the room, it's a demon. Whereas they're very strict in their definition, and they make it very clear. They're really, really good shows to hear them talk about it. So do you think you come anywhere near close to that?
Not even close. And I've spent hours talking to Carl about that in depth because that's fascinating stuff to me. Like it's a label. It's a hot button word because it sells and it's ratings. And if you hear demon, it's like, oh, I want to watch that. It's not. I don't think I'll ever encounter one. And yes, I do want to encounter one. My new favorite thing to yell when I go into places is like, I want that succubus. Where's the succubus at? But that hasn't happened yet either. So
that's a succubus is a ghost. That's a female that wants to drain you. That's the worst thing I can think of.
No, incubus would be worse actually.
What's that?
An incubus would be worse. I don't want that experience.
No, I'm saying an incubus, isn't that a female ghost?
No, succubus is
the female. Incubus is the male.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I don't want the incubus. That's even worse.
There's your line. We finally found his line. No incubus. That's it.
Those are both terrifying. But oh Jesus. Kev, what do you think? Like what could you ever see yourself doing anything like that at all?
No, I mean I could see myself doing like a Night at the Salem or something like that. I could see, but this thing with it seems from everything you've said and the other stuff, it seems like you're a very good reader of like energy and how it flows and whether it's good energy or bad energy. And I can't imagine living in a house, like living in your house where you have the doll and Mike King. While you were away, he also has a number of enchanted Ouija boards. And I could not I couldn't live surrounded by that stuff. I would be cool, like I said, spend a night at the Salem, cleanse myself, go back home, talk about what an awesome time it was, like a bachelorette party. That's what I'm like. Maybe I'm a bachelorette party paranormal person, but the stuff you do, I couldn't take it. I couldn't live that way.
Well, it's funny because I had one of my good friends. She was up here from Georgia back in the fall, and we were doing some investigating, and she'd never been to my house before, and she came in and she comes through the threshold of my living room. She goes, the energy in this room is way too much. I was like, no, it's all good. Like they just don't know you yet. Family, I got a few family members that'll come over. They're kind of sensitive and they just don't like coming over. And people just don't visit me anymore anyway. So what do I care? I got my ghosts. I don't need them.
I wish I could pick up on energy like that, but I really don't. Maybe because I'm purposely numb to it. Like I refuse to
close yourself off to it. We all have the abilities. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to open yourself up.
Yeah, I don't want to. Because I know I'm that fearful guy that I open it up and it's just a floodgate of just nonstopness. You know what I mean? Like that's how things happen, and I'm terrified of that. But like I like when people like you can get the sense of somebody by their vibe. Because that's a really important trait. It has nothing to do with paranormal, just in life. The fact that you can be around somebody and kind of get an idea of who they are before they start speaking to you. Mm-hmm. In sales, whatever you want to call it, in life, that's perfect, right? So do you find that helps you in life? Like that you can just kind of get a vibe of somebody better than other people can quicker? because
it gives you an upper hand because you know who you're going to waste your time talking to or not. I've always, that's one of the things I've always kind of like, I've said to people is I feel like a human barometer. I can sense energy pressures and things like that. And I'm usually a pretty good judge of character. I'm also guilty of giving people way too many opportunities in life too, but that's because I'm an empath. That's the double-edged sword. I actually wish I wasn't an empath because I'd love to just not give a shit about anything anymore, but I care too much about everyone and everything. So that's a constant battle I have too. But yeah, it is helpful to be able to catch people's vibes that way.
I wish I could care about like being an I can't be that either. I don't think like I can't care about too many people. It's like I got my kids, I get my wife, and then I kind of just start to shut it down from there. Like, it's like, you know, Kevin, you know what I mean? Why does that make me bad all of a sudden? How come I just talk to myself where I feel like I'm
Nobody said it. Nobody said you were bad. You said you were bad.
I know. I'm saying to myself, like I can't hear. The only event I ever had was I saw a UFO with a guy who's now one of the sergeants at a police department in Rhode Island. We were in high school and we saw it at Lincoln Woods, and we were like, oh my God, that's a UFO. And we just stood there for a couple seconds and it just shot away. And we never told anybody. And I tell everybody every story of my life. That's what I'm known for. I didn't tell anybody that story ever. We just never talked about it. And we still don't know why. I hate Ouija boards. I would break a Ouija board if I saw it. I grab it, I snap it in half and run like hell. That's what I would do. Bang, snap it. Bang, bang, bang over my knee. That's
like the worst thing you could do. The Ouija board. The only way to get rid of a Ouija board is to gift it to someone. You can't destroy it. It comes back to you.
So Matt, you want his address?
Coming back to me.
Then send him a couple of enchanted Ouija boards. I'll give you his address.
I'll show up with all my shit and just hang out.
Matt, no offense. If you show up, first of all, I got a couple of dogs. Second of all, man, we'll go in MMA mode. I'll be like locking you up, running shot of the just take the doll, Matt. Get back in the car. So it's like, you know, that doll alone, like, geez Louise, like you sleep at night and it's in your house. Like, I mean, dude, I can't, like, if my socks are in the wrong spot, I can't fall asleep. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody moved the cologne where I can't see the clock completely perfect, I gotta get up and fix that. I can't have a doll like that in my room, dude. I'd be up all night long just sweating, staring at the doll. Like, I wish I wasn't being serious, but I would be, man. I'd be like,
oh man.
All right, Kevin. Go ahead. One more.
No, so unfortunately, we're close to the hour, and we didn't even hit the Wilson Castle stuff. So I would just say everyone watch that documentary. I'll put the link in the chat, but maybe we can have you on again to talk through it. But one thing I do want to ask you about, just make a comment on and ask you about it a little bit. Your style seems a lot different than a lot of the people in a lot of the other groups out there. You travel a lot. You meet up with a bunch of different people. You're always kind of looking for the next adventure. It doesn't seem like you're kind of locked into this is me. This is my investigation. This is my site. This is my haunting. Like, I'm gonna own it. It sounds like you're like a lot. You hear that term para-unity a lot. It seems like you have a really active sort of like you're practicing it. It's not just a theory. And I don't really hear that too often with someone traveling and meeting up with all these different groups.
And that's the thing. When that term started getting shoved down everybody's throat, I don't like that term. It's like, no. I just look at it as like I'm just being a good person. Like I'm just meeting new people and enjoying life and going out and meeting like-minded people, checking out cool places. We're all doing the same thing. We're running around in the dark with flashlights like complete morons talking to air. Like and that's why I don't understand how much there's so much hatred and backstabbing and two-timing in the field. It's like, you guys are chill. It's worse than Mean Girls. The field is disgusting, and that's why I just do my own thing. I have my circle of people, and I travel around and meet other people. And what I like about that is I get to learn different techniques. I don't know everything. I don't know hardly anything. But if I go out to Detroit and I meet some people, they do this type of investigative style. I'm like, oh, cool, I can try that with mine. Where I do something that they like, we learn. It's all about learning. So yep. I learned that's what I like to do, and that's kind of how I focus on it. And I have a very small team that they're not as active as I am, and they're cool with me doing whatever the hell I do, and there's no jealousy. We
had no idea it was like that until we started to like say someone's name sometimes, and you'll get like a face, and it's like there's an underlying kind of thing going on. We couldn't quite figure it out. And what is it? Is it all about like he's not real? He just doing it for the money or the fame or the publicity. He's not. Like, is that what it is?
So the biggest thing for me is you get those people that, if you're not in this to help people, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Who the hell are you to tell me why I should do the paranormal? I don't want to help anybody. I'm doing this because I want to have fun, God damn it. And that's why I do it.
That's the best reason to do it.
I help people with my day job. If I get to help people out, cool, that's great, but that's not why I do it. And yes, I do want to be on TV. Yes, I want to be on your screen every week. So what? It doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not faking to get there. I'm not faking evidence. I'm not being fraudulent. Like, I'm just having fun. And there are just a lot of bitter people in the field. And I think those people either aren't getting the recognition that they want, or they're just going about life wrong. And I don't have time for those kind of folks.
That's exactly. So there's that. That is exactly the split. That's exactly like the line of people in this field. And it's hard for me to weigh in on it, right? Because here I am doing this show with him. So like, who are we to say? Because we're doing the show, and you would want people to watch the show. So how am I going to say that I'm not doing this for people to watch? So right there, I'm already got one foot in the grave. So how would I argue? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest. That's how we argue. You need to have something to back it up with. I think it's just maybe some people that should have gotten some credit haven't. Maybe that's what it is. Like, you guys don't have like a Hall of Fame, no offense. You don't have something like that. You can't be like, back in like the 90s, he was killing it with the UFOs. Or this guy, man, like Bigfoot, he ringed up like 4 Bigfoots a week. He was killing it. You don't have these guys. You don't have the fantasy all-stars of like the guys in the past. But
no, but you know what we do have? We have these faux awards shows that people put together and then vote for themselves.
Oh, that's amazing.
See, look, we talked to a guy last week. I forget his name right off the top of my head, and he was talking about putting everything onto one thing, getting all you guys on one sheet. I would love to be part of that, because now that I've gotten to do the show over and over in different parts of it, I feel like you guys need to be on a database that you can share, that you're not like afraid that someone's going to take your stuff and use it for their own good, but you could kind of like bounce off each other. Because I feel like there's just none of that. If you guys had like a place to like check in, why not? Right? I think that would be like a way to get those older guys some credit, like get them some sort of like feeling better about themselves.
There are factions that try to do that stuff, and there are some that blur the lines that everybody will get along. But like, it's like my group, a lot of the people that I hang around with, we're like the NWO back in WCW days.
I love that.
And people are like, they hate us because they ain't us, and they want to be us, but they're like jealous of us, and it's like there's no reason to. Like, we're just out having a good time, and people don't understand how to separate that. Some people take this way too seriously too, as if like that their documentary they made is gonna win major awards. It's like good for you for putting it out, but who cares? Just do it for yourself and enjoy yourself, But the competition is ridiculous. That's why I stopped caring about putting out. My buddy was asking me, he's like, "You got any evidence to show?" I was like, "I got one shitty clip on my YouTube. I mean, we could show that, but everything else is up here because I'm focusing on me when I'm out there,
No, I believe me. I totally get that. I really do. Like if especially with this kind of stuff. If you're gonna do this kind of stuff, if you're doing this for someone else, like you're putting yourself out there for all these problems for someone else, then you really get something wrong. Because if you're not doing it for yourself, then I would be like, why are you doing it? Like, why would you even bother risking all that stuff so that other people could be happy watching you deal with that? To me, that makes no sense in the world. That's like Jackass. If there's ever a Jackass Paranormal, we're in big trouble, where they just go out and try to get shit to attack them and see what happens.
Well, there's already plenty of people like that out there.
I don't want to know that. I don't know what a Paranormal Jackass. All right, hey, we're at the hour. And no, by the way, that wasn't like when you went the Ouija boards. This is what made me leave really fast. My Italian mother refused to not. Like, she wouldn't hang up. I'm like, we're on the air live. I don't care. We're on the air live. I gotta let you go. I don't care.
Mom, we're doing a show.
Like, what is it? Tomorrow you're gonna come by and pick me up and take me to so and so, and don't be late. Because I'm like, I can't believe this. That's what that was. Guys, got anything you want to say before we wrap it up, buddy?
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for coming on. It was a great show. It was great to hear from another investigator on your methods and your madness. And we agree. And tune in, everybody, next week for the mysteries at the Barnum Armory Museum and some of the ghost stories that come along with it.
Buddy, where's your beer?
Good show.
Bud, where's your beer of the week?
Oh, I was doing Sip of Sunshine and KDA by Proclamation. This is by Lawson's from
Oh,
Vermont.
wow.
And this is from Proclamation in Warwick, Rhode Island. Very good beers.
Notice he said I was.
Oh,
doing-
yeah, those are long gone.
I was, now I am.
Kev?
Just want to say thank you, Matt. Great show, great stories. I'm glad we hit the doll stuff. I hope she had a good time. Her and I are cool. Her and I are very cool. Would love to have you back. So we didn't even hit the Wilson Castle stuff, and I had like a list of questions because I thought I mentioned the documentary a couple of times. It's posted right there. But if anyone wants to see a whole bunch of different techniques and methods, and you did like the Estes technique, which I never seen before, I would say watch it. It's like it's almost like a class of all these different approaches.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. This was a great time.
Excellent, Matt. Do me a favor. Just put in a word for me with her. I want nothing to do with anything. Just tell everybody how Mike Maloney wants nothing to do with anything.
They can hear you. They're always listening.
All right. I respect everybody, but I don't want no part of anything. Okay.
I hate dolls.
Well, thank you again. We got to have you on again soon. This was good. Crazy stories. Be safe, will you? That's actually something I want to tell you. Like, be safe with what you do, because it seems like you push it. You know what I mean? All right, for Matt Warner, the genius Kev, Buddy Thayer, and his Bears of the Week. Yep, thank you, buddy. This is Legit Paranormal with me, Mike Lepre from LegitFantasySports.com. Thank you, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Remember, June 26th and 27th, we will be in Virginia for the 3rd annual Bigfoot Con. That's right, we'll actually be there. Thank you.